Territorial Conquest. And this is how you carry out the marching orders. So we spent a good portion of time during the first segment talking about what those marching orders are, really assessing your call as an apostle, figuring out your assignment, figuring out what you're supposed to be doing in the first place. And often when we meet apostles for the first time that are, in transition for whatever reason, ministry-wise, one of the first questions I like to ask is, tell me about your apostolic journey. Tell me about your assignment. Mm-hmm. Because I find that there are many that struggle with accurately defining what their assignment is. Yeah. And so either they weren't deployed at all or they were deployed in something they didn't have no business doing. Mm-hmm. Because we have an understanding. Most people think apostles are sent out to plant churches. And as we talked about in the beginning, that's one way. But there are many other functions. Right. Now, outside of that, some maybe they did know their assignment, but they had no idea how to carry it out. And for those of you that maybe are not called to be apostles, but you work alongside or in the ministry with apostles, this is going to help you too, because you got to make sure you understand the commission you're signing on to. Yeah. You say, oh, God sent me here. I'm called to walk with this person. Okay, do you actually understand the commission, what deployment you on? Because if you think your deployment is feeding the homeless, but then your deployment is going out getting drug dealers off the streets, then you might have signed up for the wrong deployment. And that creates issues and hurt on both ends. I ain't even get here, but this for somebody. It's for somebody because you signed up for something that you didn't realize, or you realized it and then you aborted the mission because you didn't fully take into account all that went with it. Mm-hmm. And this is why leaders, apostles, emerging apostles, make sure you really understand what your deployment is. Make sure you know what territory you're actually going to conquest, and vet the people. Sometimes you can say, look, I love you, Sister Watermelon, but this mission ain't for you. I know God gonna do great things with you, but I don't really feel comfortable with you helping me with this. Right. Come on. Right. And we don't like to have these conversations either because we don't want to hurt somebody's feelings. Maybe we've known them and served with them a long time. You can serve with them doing something else. Y'all can do community outreach together. You can have a worship experience together. You can have a prayer lock-in together. But maybe this right here ain't for them because it requires something different that maybe they're not comfortable with. Mm-hmm. Case in point, we met an apostle last month. We went and met an apostle, and she was talking about her apostolic assignment. And she was saying her assignment, and to make a long story short, is to create a school to develop people in warfare to go take territory from the enemy's camp. That ain't for everybody. If for the person that wants to go to church and serve on the worship team and be a greeter at the door and go check on people and be a blessing to them, that might sound really scary to them. Like, hold on, we finna go do what? Like, we not just doing deliverance, but like we going out to go fight the demons. That ain't for everybody. So with that analogy, you can kind of see, okay, this is why some of them situations went like that. Mm-hmm. Some people, their zealousness, we will mistake for their anointing and their gift. Come on. Because they love the Lord, they're excited, they want to be used, they want to do a good job. It's like, God bless you, but please wait over here. Because this is how you end up with what I call casualties of war. Bringing people along that are anointed, that love the Lord loved them, but they don't have no business helping on this assignment. Right. And so for some people, you may just be ministry colleagues, but you may have to refer them to the church up the street or down the street or around the corner, because what your specific territorial conquest is, they don't fit within that. And that's a hard pill for a lot of people to swallow. Remember earlier we were talking about how many real apostles are not really pastoral in nature. Some are, but many are not. Now, we love God's people, we care for them, but if that's not for them, it's okay to tell them to go somewhere else. Because look at Gideon's army. God had to bring the army. He had all them people, I'm paraphrasing. He had all the people, and God said, no, get rid of this many. He was like, well, this all I got left. But he did more with those people than all the one. If he had all them people that God got rid of, he would have never completed that assignment. Because there were people that were with him that weren't fit for that particular assignment. So sometimes before you even go any further, if you already an apostle out here doing an assignment, assess who you got and assess who maybe need to go back in the infantry for a little bit for more training. Because they may not be for this phase of the assignment. So back to territorial conquest and how to carry out your marching orders. This goes into what you were saying earlier, Apostle, how you have a lot of apostles who, oh, I'm an apostle. You know, I have a church. I planted a church. Okay, after the commissioning, then what?
Right.
Most apostles we meet that are in a season of transition, they either did not know what to do after the commissioning, or maybe they started and didn't work, so it's like, okay, well, I don't know what to do now.
Mm-hmm.
What after the commissioning? And this, is further detail to why some people have been failed. Because they've been commissioned, they lay hands on you, put a robe on you, but you have no idea what you're supposed to be taking conquest of. No idea. So many people in church, we don't know what to do. We do what we've always done because that's what we've always known how to do. Or I'm going to keep having services, or I'm going to keep doing praise and worship, or I'm going to keep doing this. And we keep doing the same thing right out the will of God. So you have to really sit down in what I call the honest conversation with yourself before God and figure out what is my actual deployment. What are my marching orders? What am I supposed to be taking conquest of? Because if you're not going to take a conquest, there's no point in being an apostolos. There's no point in being sent out if there's no territory you're taking conquest over. A territory is a land under the jurisdiction of a ruler or state. So make no mistake, the territory belongs to somebody else. Whether it belongs to the enemy, whether it belongs to culture and society, it belongs to somebody that ain't God in God's kingdom. And your conquest is to go forward and gain that territory by the use of subjugation and military force. So you see how the two are tying together. All that in the first session is what you need to have before you go do this. So for the apostle, you are deployed on your marching orders, commissioned to fulfill your assignment from God on behalf of the kingdom to complete conquest over a territory, thus enlarging the borders of God's kingdom. Right. The whole point of you taking the territory is to add it so the kingdom of God can continue to cover the earth. And for those of you that serve with an apostle, alongside an apostle, within that convoy, it's your job as part of that infantry to understand the responsibility to assist that apostle in their conquest, using the tools and resources and gifts made available. Now, this may include your gifts and talents, but it may also, in most cases it does, require you to learn new skills.
Uh-oh.
I don't watch too many movies for many reasons, but when you watch some of those old war movies, they're like, oh, can I go with you? They're like, no, I don't need you. You're going to get killed. I can do this. What they do, they start listing off how useful they're going to be on the mission. And they're like, okay, well, you can come along, but you stay back there because I don't want you in the way. Right? And then, we all know they don't listen and they end up saving the day. The one they didn't want to bring. So the first thing they do is start listing out how useful they're going to be on the mission.
Right.
People, well, God sent me here and blah, blah. How useful are you on the mission, though?
That's right.
You want to come on the mission. You want to be there. You want to see the miracles. You want to tear down the enemy's kingdom. But how useful are you going to be on this conquest? Because if all you're going to do is give me a headache and eat up the food and drink the water and use up the resources, I could have left you at home.
At home.
How useful are you going to be on the conquest? So for those of you that serve with an apostle, this is something you got to assess. Are you useful on the conquest? Write this down so you can do this later. Do your own self-assessment. What gifts and talents have I contributed to my apostle's mission? What new skills have I acquired? Or what skills have I been thinking about acquiring? How much of a headache have I caused? So you got to look at all this and make sure the math and see, are you really helping the conquest or are you in the way? And if you find out you in the way or maybe you neutral, that's okay. That's what this is for. Because now you have a better understanding how you can better serve the mission for the kingdom's sake. But a lot of people, they come and they join with an apostle. Oh, I know this where I belong. But you expect it to function the way a pastor did.
Come on.
So apostles, make sure you take your time and explain get your own understanding of your commission, of your deployment, of what territory you're taking conquest over. And make sure you teach. It's going to feel like you a drill sergeant, but they got to get it in their spirit. Because if it's not etched in here, this how the enemy come. Well, I don't know, I guess my season up. How your season up in the middle of nowhere? Where you going?
Exactly.
In the middle of nowhere. We out here in the desert in the dirt and you leave where? Where? This is what a conquest is supposed to be.
Come on.
And so this is why it concerns me when you have people walking in an apostolic office that don't